Okay, thank you. Just for a moment. It's my honor and pleasure to introduce Dean Alison Baski from Cal Poly Pomona, who is the Dean of Science and the Interim Dean of Engineering and is kindly going to give us our words of closing today. And Dr. Baski is herself a physicist and has been very interested in the teaching of physics. So thank you, Alison. Please take it away.
Thanks so much, Victoria, and thank you for inviting me here. This is really fun. I got to sit in on the math and stats sharing with the group, and it had me think about the days. I did 20 years of teaching, so thinking back on that. I first of all want to thank all of you for being so committed as instructors to try and do all this experimentation with the mastery learning and specifications grading. I just keep thinking back to when the early 2000s, when I started teaching, I actually picked up a few of these things. And now that they're very well identified and it really supports our students in the growth mindset. In particular, as we all know in STEM, since we build on material throughout the semester, stepping up, if a student isn't able to get some of these foundational concepts, they can't recover at the end of the semester. And I'll just say I taught hundreds of students introductory calculus-based physics, and that was quite clear. So it was important to have intentional learning outcomes and how you were able to ensure they were learning them and not just for the grade. Victoria, when she said, oh, what should you talk about? I thought of a few little stories. And I just wanted to say this idea of grading, it's very heartwarming to hear that we're trying to move away from what I would say an obsession with grades that we have. And I have a memory that's extremely vivid to me. And one of the people here, Barrett Givens, may be able to connect with this. We have a Voices of Color group here on our campus at Cal Poly Pomona. And pre-pandemic, we would have students of color and faculty joining them. And one of these meetings, one of the math faculty, Robin Wilson, he started talking about that he was going to try to experiment with mastery grading. He called it the mastery learning with the specifications grading. And these students, I expected that they would be talking about many other things. Immediately, the conversation pivoted to grades and the incredible anxiety they all felt in their courses. And then they were all wishing they could be in his course during his experimentation with this new method. And it was just striking. And it helped me remember, even for myself, when I was in high school in my calculus or physics classes, and as an undergraduate, I was always trying to be so careful and so focused on the grades. And I should have been, of course, just thinking about the concepts. And I loved the concepts too, but somehow the grades kind of got in the way. You never got a second chance, ever. You just simply had whatever it was, your exam, sometimes 3/4 of your grade. And if you didn't perform on that day, that was it. So I am so pleased that there are so many instructors out there thinking about how to do this better. And as a result of my own experiences where during exams, I always had a very upset stomach. It was stressful no matter what, even if I knew all the material cold. That when I started teaching, some of these larger lectures, usually 100 or 200 students in introductory courses, I was trying to figure out for those learning outcomes, how I could provide more opportunities. And this was before that we had Canvas. There was Blackboard, but I just mentioned, I don't know if there are any physicists out there. There was a platform called Long Kappa and open source. So we could code our own numerical or concept questions and do, randomization. So I did have very similar things to what I'm hearing here. I would have randomized homework problems and the students could go practice that same conceptual problem. When they did it for their homework, it would be a different number or a different configuration if it was some type of multiple choice. Quizzes were based on the same framework too. So were the exams in the questions. So students could always go practice. And then at the end of the semester, they could do what I would call their, quote, extra or makeup homework or quiz, which was comprehensive over the semester. And that was their opportunity. They could increase if they wanted to their grade. But just like all of you were discussing, It's giving those multiple opportunities so that they don't believe this is the only time they can demonstrate that they have their knowledge, because we all know learning, particularly in STEM, takes a lot of work, and you just keep doing things over and over again. So I don't have great words of wisdom to share with all of you. I'm just really excited when I got to sit on this last session with math and physics. Well, it wasn't physics, I'm sorry, math and stats, and learned about using tokens so that you could buy a second opportunity at a quiz. That was the most interesting thing I've heard in a while. And also Barrett there was talking about how she was able to take many learning objectives and really focus it down. And that's where in my mind, I thought, you walk out of my physics class, you can draw a free body diagram for any 2 blocks I give you ever. I don't care what it is. You know, we all know what a student should be able to do when they walk out of our class at the end. So I just want to say thank you again for inviting me, just so I could see a little bit what was going on. I love when the CSU and UCs come together and there are these opportunities to share all the tips we have in our courses. And thank you for being such caring faculty who are willing to put your toe in there and do, you know, fairly experimental things with your course design and see what works or what doesn't work. If it always worked, I guess it wouldn't be an experiment. But hope you have a great closing. I guess tomorrow you have a few more things to talk about, and I look forward to hearing more from some of the faculty or from our campus here.